If you're looking for a smaller luxury sedan with a lot of nice features that's still fun to drive and a pretty good value, you're gonna like this Genesis G70. Today we're gonna take a full detailed look at the exterior of this Genesis, the nice interior, and get it out on the road for a test drive. And I'm gonna give you all the details about this 2022 Genesis G70. If SUVs are more your style, I just got done with the GV70, which is the SUV version similar to this car. Be sure to look in the description below. But also, thank you so much for watching. My name is Nolan. I do full reviews like this every single week. And if you want to skip around from part to part in this video, I put timestamps in the description below so you can go to wherever you want. Let's jump into it. Now let's start off by looking at all these exterior details on this 2022 G70. Now first of all, with the trim levels, there's the base 2.0, 2.0 Prestige, 3.3 Sport Advanced, and the 3.3 Sport Prestige, which we have right here. So going to look at the front end right away. With this Sport Prestige, take a look at this front end. It's big grille, a lot of mesh at the bottom, and with that main grille. What do you think of this front end design? Kind of have like a split headlight design. They call it their quad beam. It is standard, so you get LED daytime running lights, LED headlights standard with this quad beam, and there's an LED signal in there as well. At night, these lights do a very good job. Be sure to check out my night review in the description below if you want to see that, but there are no adaptive headlights on this G70. The paint on this particular G70 is called Siberian Ice. There's actually a few different cool paint colors. This is kind of a matte color. I really like it. It's unique. It's like a grayish, whitish, creamyish color. It's really interesting. What do you think of the overall design as well? So the G70 is going to give you anywhere from 18 to 19-inch wheels. We've even got that red caliper here, and we have these 19-inch dark sputtering wheels is what they call them. Those are 225 in the front and 255 in the back with 4-piston Brembo brakes even on the Sport Prestige model. Now dimensionally, this G70 is about 184 inches long. So not nearly as big as some of the bigger luxury sedans, but right in line with other compact luxury sedans. The 3.3 liter turbo models will give you a sport tuned suspension, and this Sport Prestige is going to give us an electronically controlled suspension as well. Now in the rear of the Genesis, let me know again what you guys think, but we've got these quad LED taillights again. So you have that same mirrored split design, got some more mesh at the bottom, Genesis logo, G70 3.3, and then you've kind of got these, you know, faux exhaust covers. I wish we had some real exhaust tips back here, but otherwise, I like it. Now, when you get to the cargo area of the Genesis, you can open it with the push button right here, or you can wait for the hands-free smart trunk. And the space back here isn't great, but it's okay. You get about 10.5 cubic feet of space. You can fold the middle down or the seats down in the middle, and then you've got a spare tire underneath, which is still really good to see. Now the proximity key is standard on all Genesis models, and check it out, we even have remote start on here. You can turn your lights on. It's a really nice key fob with a really nice feel to it. So the way that this works is you've got this little button to tap and lock it. You've got power folding mirrors and a Genesis logo on all but the base model that projects on the ground at night. Then to unlock it, it's just a sensor in the back, and it works pretty seamlessly. But Genesis on the 3.3 liter turbo models gives you the digital key, so you can use your phone, you can even share the digital key with family, and it's just an interesting way to get into your car. Now let's take a look at these front seats. So the base model is even going to give you 12-way power leatherette seats that are heated, but check it out, on this Sport Prestige we've got this Napa leather. We even have this red accent in here. This leather is really nice looking. The quilting in here is really nice. The bolsters are pretty good size, and you can even adjust those. There's even thigh extension cushion adjustment, so you can extend the thigh cushion, regular adjustment, 4-way lumbar support, and you still have bolster adjustment, so you can have it squeeze you a little bit more, and when you shift into sport mode, it will even squeeze you even more if you want it to. This one even gives us memory settings, as you can see there, so when you start the vehicle, it's going to automatically move the steering wheel and the seat depending on where you want it to, because you've got a power adjustable steering wheel. This Prestige even gives us these sport pedals down here too. Every G70 is going to give you heated seats, which is great, but the Sport Advanced model and this one will give you the ventilated seats, which we have in here too. The one thing, maybe you would look for it in a luxury brand like this, is maybe a massaging function, but you don't get it. The other nice thing, if you have passengers, the Prestige model and up will give them 4-way lumbar support. That's really nice. Now the back seat might have some really nice patterns on the door, but it's not necessarily family friendly. I definitely wouldn't call it that. But look at this, you still get the red seat belts just like up front, the same nice leather pattern, but legroom is definitely limited. So I'm 5'9", I've got the seat where I like to drive and I like to sit in a low position here. My toes can barely fit under here. There is a little bit of legroom, although it's not great. But in here you've got vents, which is nice to see, and a USB charging port. In the middle you've got a center folding armrest with a couple of cup holders. But I think my favorite thing is, if you want to act like an executive type of position here, you can sit on the passenger side and you have controls to move this seat out of the way. So you can move it even more and give yourself more legroom, or if you're the driver, you can just reach over and move it if you need to as well. And I can actually sit up tall in here or sit upright. My hair is touching, but it'll work. If you're looking for heated seats back here on a luxury brand, we don't get them, and I'm a little bit surprised by that. Now hopping inside the interior of this G70, it's a mix of simplicity and nice materials, although there is a little bit of cheapness that I can feel in some areas that I'll share with you in a second. But starting over on the door, you're going to find your memory settings right up there next to this unique pattern. This material up here is fairly soft if you want to rest your elbows, and then look at this nice like quilting pattern here on the door, some padding in the armrest and a good grab handle. And then down below, this is really tight if you want to stick any kind of bottles there. Mine doesn't fit, but it's something you can still use. Your interior brightness controls and trunk opening button are right on the inside. Then let's go ahead and start it up. Push button start, foot on the brake. Got a nice little grumble when you start it up right away too. So this Genesis steering wheel is different than the GV70 that had just that single spoke going across. And I like the controls here. They're very easy to use. It's very intuitive. Then you got paddle shifters on here. The steering wheel is leather wrapped and it is also heated, which is nice. That's on the Sport Prestige, or if you get all-wheel drive, you can get a heated steering wheel too. Sport Prestige also gives us this micro suede headliner. So the whole headliner is this nice, soft, like micro suede type of material. Genesis does give us rain sensing windshield wipers. The gauge cluster is a little bit disappointing. I'm guessing some of you, like in the GV70, are going to want more, but you've got a digital or an analog display on the left, and then it's all digital right there in the middle, and then a digital tack that pretty much stays the same unless you turn your blinker on. You do have this blind view monitor, which is on this Sport Prestige only, so you can see right next to you when you signal. But this is the standard 8-inch display in the middle. There's a decent amount of information you can scroll through, which is good. You control everything from your steering wheel, and I like it for the most part, but some of you might want a full digital display or something a little bit more extravagant. Up overhead, there is also a head-up display on the Sport Prestige that can show you quite a bit of information. And then material-wise, you've got this stitching across the dash. You've got this tablet style here, stitching around the center console and over there. I like the looks of most of this interior, even some red stitching coming down inside by us, and a mix of materials in here. Right off the bat, let me just show you what seems to be a little bit cheap. So I'm fine with the design and the way everything looks, but these are really wiggly and they just feel cheap. And so does this drive mode button. It just kind of sits here and wiggles. Other than that, things are pretty nice in here. So this is a 10.25 inch touchscreen. Yes, it is a touchscreen. It's placed a little far back, so reaching it can be a little bit annoying depending on where you sit. And it's only touchscreen controlled. There's no touchpad or controller knob or anything down here. There are some buttons right there for shortcuts and volume knob and tuning knob, but otherwise it's pretty much touchscreen reliant. So this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well on here, but it is not wireless. I don't have mine plugged in, so you can't see it, but you still get a wireless charging pad. It's a little bit annoying. This wireless charging pad is on every G70 except the base model. This does have Sirius XM standard and over-the-air updates as well. Every model except the base also gets the Lexicon sound system. So this does sound pretty darn nice. You can even control the way it sounds when you listen to it. It's a 15 speaker system and I really like it. Go ahead and plug your headphones in because we've got binaural audio. Let's take a listen. Now go into the backup camera. So this surround view camera where you can see all around the vehicle is on just the Sport Prestige. You can change the view. You can see right next to your tire. You have projection lines over there as well. It's really nice to have. Down from there, we've got dual zone climate control. Like I said, with these knobs, I kind of like the simplicity of these knobs. We've got heated steering wheel, heated and ventilated seat buttons. As you can see, all 3 tier. You and your passenger have easy to use controls. And then just down from there, I showed you the wireless charging pad, otherwise a 12-volt power outlet and a USB charging port. In the middle here, the center console is okay. So this shifter is unique. It moves, but then it reverts back to its normal position, and then P for park. So it's not a push button shifter, but it's still kind of electronically controlled. And then you've got your drive mode buttons, and I'll go through those in the test drive. Brake hold, parking brake, parking sensors, all of that. In fact, let me show you the drive modes right now. So we've got Eco, we've got Comfort, we've got Sport, Sport Plus, and when you shift into Sport or Sport Plus, it can automatically tighten up your seats if you want to hug you in on your bolsters. Integrated center armrest right here with some padding that goes out a little ways. Lift this up, you've got a USB port and a softly lined storage area. Genesis also gives us a locking glove box. There's even an automatic dimming rearview mirror, and I actually like that it's not, this is standard, and I like that it's not frameless because the entire mirror is automatic dimming now. They even also give you a sunglass holder overhead, and then up here we get LED interior lighting. So one more thing overhead is a sunroof. You get a regular sunroof on the 2-liter turbos, or you get this wider sunroof on the 3.3-liter turbos. And if you're worried about blocking the sun, you've got movable visors, which is great. Visibility out of here actually isn't all that bad either. You've got pretty big windows, and those pillars aren't really all that big. And at night, this doesn't have the cool ambient lighting like you get in the GV70, so be sure to check out the GV70 video if you want to see that. Now under the hood, Genesis gives you 2 different options, but they're both turbocharged. First of all, the base engine is going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo that still gives you a pretty decent amount of power. Otherwise, you can get this 3.3-liter V6 twin turbo. This one's going to put out 365 horsepower, 376 pound-feet of torque with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and that 8-speed is the only transmission available on this G70. This is a rear-wheel drive standard car, but you can get all-wheel drive optional, even though this one is just rear-wheel drive and a mechanical limited slip in the back. Miles per gallon is okay at 18 city, 27 highway with this model, and up to 31 highway with the 2-liter turbo. This 3.3-liter turbo gives us a variable exhaust, so it sounds a little different when you put it in Sport Plus. Let's go ahead and take a listen and get it out on the road. Alright y'all, let's get behind the wheel of this G70. So there's a couple specific things I want to go through and talk about in this test drive. One thing is the active sound design, which you control on here. It's part of the settings to where you can make this sound a little louder or make it a little quieter as far as its engine sound. So it'll kind of pipe in a little more sound if you want it to. And there's different levels of it. So right now it's off and it's on strong. I don't know if you heard that little change in pitch, but we'll go through that in the test drive. The other thing is on here, the 3.3-liter models will give you a sport tune suspension, and we even have an electronically controlled damping suspension here as well. The other thing about the 3.3-liter models is a variable gear ratio for the steering. So we're just in normal comfort mode. Let me just give a little punch here. So there's a little lag, but it's very punchy once you get a little bit of throttle in here. I mean, that torque comes out so quick with this twin turbo. Just a little more pedal down. There. And this is with strong active sound design. Let me turn it off. Here's off. And strong. It's not a huge difference, but it does pipe in more sound. So if that's something you want, especially when you start to really get on it, when we go into sport mode later, you'll be able to hear even more with this exhaust back there, which sounds great. But even just in comfort mode, I like the weight of the steering. It feels great. It's not It's not lightweight. It's not even really medium. It's a little more on the heavier side. And I like that for this car. It really gives you a secure, planted, kind of sporty feel. Even though it may not be the most precise, it's still really, really good for this price point. Now we do hit some bumps sometimes, and I will say that the ride comfort on here is more on the firm side. You can change that up a little bit with the suspension settings for your drive modes and custom drive modes, but it is on the firm side. But I won't say it's bad. It's not rough, it's not harsh, it's just firm. And that's kind of what you'd expect with this sport tune suspension. If you go with the non 3.3 liter turbos, the 2 liter turbo models are probably a little softer. All right, I'm gonna put it in sport mode. Now let's do sport plus. Traction control turns off. My bolsters around my side start to squeeze in on me. You can adjust that on the screen, but it's just that extra little squeeze from the bolsters gives you a little more confidence and kind of a sporty feel out of here. Now we're still in sport plus mode. Lost the tail a little bit right there. It's a cold road, cold tires, holding the RPMs really well. It's still holding the RPMs really, excuse me, it's holding this road really well. Woo! It doesn't take much to lose that rear end a little bit. These tires are not ready for this. So the car downshifted on its own. Let me give you a little pedal down. We still lost a little traction there. So the traction control is automatically off when you go to Sport Plus. Let me downshift here. Whoa. All right. Paddles are pretty quick. I'm pleased with that. Yeah, so even with the paddles, you can definitely still have some fun. And let me go back to strong active sound design in Sport Plus. You could probably definitely hear a difference there, right? You can hear a lot more noise piped in. And the brakes on here, we have some 4-piston Brembo brakes, so you've got to expect some pretty good performance, and I think they've done a good job. They've got a nice strong feel. There we go. This car is fun. I mean, it's a split personality, so when it's in comfort mode and you're just cruising along, you really do feel more on the luxurious side, but still has a nice confidence factor in it with its kind of hefty steering and the stiffer ride, the comfort of the seats. But when you put it in sport mode or even just get on it a little bit, it gives you the power that you bought with this car. And that turbo power comes out so quick, and it's still got a nice linear, strong kind of power band as we get in through the RPMs. So lots of fun with this G70. Now we're on a rough textured road. One thing to talk about, there is a decent amount of road noise that gets in here, and that's just kind of expected with the firmer suspension, these kind of tires in a sportier car. Wind noise is actually quite good though. There's not a lot of wind noise. These are laminated glass here, and high speeds, the interstate speed's not bad, but on a rougher texture like this, you do get some road noise in here. It's definitely louder than that Genesis GV70 that we were in recently, so something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that we have a navigation-based smart cruise control, so you got a full suite of the tech as far as the lane keeping system, smart cruise control, emergency braking, all stuff like that on here standard. So there's a lot of good stuff. But let's get another little rip. Real quick before we finish, do you prefer the strong engined active sound design or with it off? There's a soft and a normal as well. It's just a different sound overall, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. This car is a blast to drive, but let's go ahead and wrap things up. Now to wrap things up on this 2022 Genesis G70, for a compact luxury sedan, it's really fun to drive. It still offers a lot in terms of features and a luxurious type of feeling that you get with this car, but it's not an over-the-top ultra luxury vehicle, but it's still really nice. Be sure to let me know what you think down below, and if you want to see something with more space, be sure to look for the GV70 or move up in size in the sedan. Check those in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.